Music is an important part of most worship services, but it's also a wonderful way to touch lives far beyond the church walls. That's why North Shore United Methodist Church in Glencoe, Illinois sponsors a chamber arts concert series that has become a cultural fix for North Shore concertgoers. We welcome today David Rubens, singer, principal conductor, and artistic director for the North Shore Chamber Arts Ensemble. We also welcome vocalist Nancy Wiebe-Mazurowski, who is also a member of the ensemble board. And finally, we welcome violist Jay Pike. How did the concert series get started?
Well, 4 years ago, Pastor Jenny Weber and I sat down and we decided that an experimental or trial concert had been so successful that we decided we could expand it. And the reason we thought it was important is because we wanted to reach out to the community and bring people into that space who would never, ever walk in there, being comfortable and having a fabulous experience, one that they have never had before. And the interesting thing about it is that those experiences are communal, not only with the community, but with the performers. They don't make a heck of a lot of money, so they're not in it for the money. They're in it to make a living, and there's something else that drives us all. And it's that element that we seek to communicate and to elicit from our audiences.
Can you please explain to us what the connection is between the concert series and the North Shore United Methodist Church?
The church has been really wonderful. They have provided a performance home for the ensemble, and they give that to us. And we have rehearsal space and time to rehearse our concerts. And we have many, many, many volunteers from the congregation who come in and help us do all sorts of things, like feed the musicians.
That's important.
It's always appreciated.
Yes, that's right.
Tell us a little bit about your musical journey and how you each became a part of the Chamber series.
It was really exciting to be in Chicagoland to begin with. It's a wonderful place to be a musician. There are many opportunities. I came to Chicago for my undergrad as well as my master's degree, both of which I earned at North Park University. And it was a connection there through the university who knew David, and she said, you might want to audition for this organization. And what I appreciate so much as a singer is that David's vision is very much freeing for us. There are certain dictates. Obviously, we want to, be singing correct notes and all of those sorts of things, but there's a lot of freedom and expression that he allows in the ensemble that makes it very exciting for us singers to participate.
That's great. And Jay?
Yeah, I got involved, I guess, through sort of the network of musicians that I know, and I think the same thing that Nancy said. I appreciate sort of the community it offers. It's just a fun group of people to play with. They play well, and I enjoy playing with them. But I also appreciate that it's a smaller group. I spend a lot of time playing with larger symphonies and bigger organizations. And when there's just two of us, we sort of get to make decisions on our own, and we don't have to go through the sort of chain of command so much, and we can, that's more fun.
Exactly.
And more personal.
That's great.
There is a downside to that. There's no place to hide.
That's right.
They know who you are.
Right. They know who you are and what you're playing.
Nancy, would you mind sharing a little bit of your talent with us today?
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay.
I would love to sing a little bit of the Lord's Prayer, and it's sort of a universal song as well as certainly a text that is familiar to Christians, whether Catholic or Protestant, and most often in services it's spoken, but on occasion it's also sung. So this would be the Malott version of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
Nancy, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity.
Now, what should concertgoers expect when they come to this concert series? It's held in a church sanctuary. Are they just going to hear church music? What is it that they should expect?
They're going to hear very accessible classical music, sometimes from the 20th century, sometimes from the 16th century.
Nancy, how are the concerts accessible to the general community and not just the church-going community?
I really appreciate the opportunities that the singers have to communicate in between, like at the intermissions or even afterwards. We often have little gatherings, because so often when you're performing in an opera or something of that ilk, you don't get a chance to run right off stage and talk with people. You have to take the costume off, and and only your friends often wait that long to be able to talk to people. So I enjoy the aspect of actually getting to meet the churchgoers, and often our texts do have a sacred component to them. So the way that it's impacted some people may be surprising, especially if they're not usually part of a church community. And I love to talk through those experiences with people, because it gives you real joy to know that what you're communicating is getting through, really uplifting in people's lives.
That's great. And Nancy, you're a descendant of generations of Mennonites, correct?
I am. About 500 years. We're actually traceable. I think there was a PBS show on the Mennonites from the Netherlands, and that's eventually how they all wandered to Canada. And so my parents were born and raised in Canada.
Great. And how does that family history influence your music, your faith journey today?
Hugely, and I will say also it's a very good tribute to my parents, because often as a faith-based community moves through the different changes in modernization, that a faith can become either very starchy or it can be kept alive. And I think that my parents did a really good job of that, of not sheltering us from some harmful media. My dad loved television, but rather living out what it's like to love people. And I think that's really one of the things that our world needs, sacrificial love in the times where you really want to be reactive. It's not helpful. Or just people who are going through a hard time, that a lot of times empty words don't help, but love does.
Mm-hmm. And through the concert series, we're able to reach out to the youth as well, correct?
Yes. We've done one children's concert. We began with a piece by Leonard Bernstein called I Hate Music, which is perfect for kids because they have something that they can hate. But we also did the Ensemble Carnival of Animals with all of the narration by Ogden Nash, and then Albert Wang, who is one of our violin soloists, he and I did a version of Ferdinand the Bull for solo violin and narrator. And I was the narrator, and we had a good time, and I enjoyed myself tremendously performing that with Al, because I could break him up. And I could see his bow shaking. But that was a wonderful experience, because I was down on the floor. I usually am up on a podium, but I had to be down on the floor to conduct the chanson. And there was a little boy sitting right next to me. And every once in a while, I'd hear him singing. And I thought, that's great. if they're running up and down the aisles and singing and playing and doing everything they should be doing with music, that's the beginning. And they had a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I did too, that's great, you know. That's the reward.
That's where it is.
I want to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, David. Thank you, Nancy and Jay. I'm Leah Smith for Different Drummers and the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries. Keep the faith.